Thank you for that. Westfield Public Schools experiencing a perfect storm of rising costs and insufficient funding, which may lead to Constant and Beloved program that spanned almost 50 years.
Western Mass News reporter Reagan Lockery now joins us live in studio tonight to explain. Reagan.
Yeah, that's right, Chris and Amanda. I'm told by the Westfield superintendent that the early childhood program at Westfield High School, although successful, is being eliminated because of funding issues. And both current students, teachers, and staff, as well as alumni of the program, are shattered by the news.
Throughout high school, that is the reason I woke up in the morning and wanted to get to school.
Victoria Hosmer is a former lead preschool teacher at Children's Corner in Westfield, which is a program located inside of Westfield High School that allows students to pursue an education in teaching and early education while earning college credits. The program also allows preschoolers to interact and learn from high schoolers and experience the fun environment a larger school has to offer.
The preschoolers end up loving school more than any other kid because they go home and they're like, we went into the cooking room today, we went to the music class, we went to the library.
But unfortunately, due to budget issues, the beloved program has been put on the chopping block after being a staple in the community for nearly 50 years. Westfield Public Schools superintendent providing Western Mass News with a statement that reads in part, the district has had to make significant reductions because of this budget shortfall. We will have 40 less positions across the district next year, and it will impact us at every level. The early childhood program at Westfield High School is successful, and the district recognizes that the program is being eliminated because of funding. I wish that this didn't have to be the case. Hosmer tells Western Mass News she joined the program as a freshman in high school, and it shaped both her future, past, and current career, telling us the thought of the community losing such a meaningful program is devastating, adding that she believes now is the worst time to cut the program.
Massachusetts is in an early education teacher shortage, and that program promotes at least half of the seniors that graduate are going to become teachers, and if they aren't going to be teachers, they are going to do something related to children in the work field.
And several other past and present teachers, students, staff, and alumni agree, including Debbie Auclair, who used to teach Westfield high schoolers as part of the Children's Corner laboratory program. And before that, Auclair was a student teacher in the program while attending Westfield High School in the 70s, leading her to a career spanning almost 2 decades.
We actually have had a lot of feedback over the years, a lot of early childhood professionals, including people at Holyoke Community College, because the course is worth college credit. And so a lot of professionals have said we actually could be a role model for the state.
For a link to the petition to save the early childhood program, head to our website, westernmassnews.com. Reporting live in studio, Reagan Lockery for Western Mass News.
Reagan, thank you.